Welcome back to Buy or Sell, the series where you pitch me your predictions for the theme park world, and I either buy or sell them and explain why. If you want your idea considered for the next video, leave a comment below starting with Buy or Sell. In this episode, we look at what Kennywood's future looks like with Steel Curtain up in the air, if the Adventure Dome may go down with Circus Circus, and what exactly Magic Mountain could be teasing for 2025. This is Buy or Sell, episode 32. Let's start with Z.H. Heimer. The Six Flags Cedar Fair chain will have regional passes. Even though the merger was just finalized last month, Cedar Point is already talking about their all-parks passport including Six Flags parks. With 26 parks around North America, plus a whole bunch of water parks, people may be interested in visiting local parks, but not all of them. They would be willing to pay more to access parks nearby, but not the full freight to access all of them. We already see this in some places, like Great Escape in New England, Frontier City in Over Texas, and I think now it's going to be more relevant than ever. I'm buying this. Magic Mountain in Knott's, Great American Discovery Kingdom, Worlds of Fun in St. Louis, Six Flags America and King's Dominion. Maybe throw in Great Adventure and Dorney Park into that package, or they can have their own package. I would be surprised if they didn't have a regional option given how massive the chain is. Veggie Monster. Fun Spot Atlanta will get a new coaster within the next 3 years. This park got its first coaster in 2007, then a kids coaster in 2019, and finally Air Force One in 2023. This made the park a destination for enthusiasts, but it doesn't seem like it brought in a ton of people otherwise. I went on a beautiful Saturday in June the year it opened, and for the most part, it was a one-train wait all day. Based on what I heard, the coaster barely had a line the whole year. They couldn't have done much more with it. It's already one of the greatest coasters I've ever ridden. I'm talking top 3 status. But maybe it just wasn't the right addition for a park like this. Maybe this park has a ceiling, and investing $13 million on a huge coaster was overkill. It's like you're playing Oregon Trail and you hunt for 5,000 pounds of food, but can only keep 100 pounds in your wagon. That's why I'm selling this. I'm not sure what Fun Spot expected from Air Force, but assuming it fell short of their expectations, I don't know why they go back to the well and try again. I'm sure they make investments over the next 3 years. I would just be stunned if they tried their hand with another coaster. Adventures of Lark. DC theming will be at the Cedar Fair parks by 2028. One of the big advantages of mergers and acquisitions is sharing of IPs. Six Flags has taken advantage of this. When they bought Great America from Marriott in 1984, they started using Looney Tunes characters and never went back. When they were bought by Time Warner in the early 90s, they started using DC theming. Cedar Fair has done this less. They tend to get away from the IPs they inherit, like the Paramount movies and Nickelodeon characters. It's not a slam dunk, but it seems most likely to happen. I'm buying this. Maybe not all parks, but I bet at least a few have DC themed rides in the next 4 years. It seems too appealing to have access to a known brand and not use it. So if it's either a new coaster or a new flat ride, or even possibly an existing ride's retheme, DC is coming to a Cedar Fair park near you. Josh Kahn. Kennywood is going to announce a new coaster by 2026. Steel Curtain and all its problems aside, let's look at their coaster schedule over the last 45 years. 1980, Laser Loop. A decade later, Steel Phantom. A decade later, Exterminator. A decade later, Skyrocket. A decade later, Steel Curtain. They seem to be on a 10-year schedule, so 2026 seems too soon. But let's move back to Steel Curtain. Let's say S&S does their work and they try to reopen it by 2025 and it doesn't work out. At that point, does Kennywood try to replace it with a new coaster? I think that's very possible, but I'm selling it. I'm still betting that S&S can't fix it, so it reopens in 2025. Beyond that, I don't know. It's possible they reopen it and then it closes again in the next 5 to 10 years. But if they can reopen it in 2025, I don't think there's any way they add anything new for 2026. Back Row Coasters and Catherine Zimmerman. The merger causes Michigan's Adventure and Six Flags America to be sold off. We have 2 parks to look at here, so let's examine Michigan's Adventure. Cedar Fair took this park over in 2001 and has done next to nothing with it. All they did was relocate an SLC, but apparently this park is profitable. I guess their location in western Michigan works to their advantage, being the only show in town, and the rush of investments the park got before it was sold. If they can make money on a park that's very low maintenance, I don't see them getting rid of it, so I'm selling both parks going. As for Six Flags America, I could definitely see this happening. I'm not sure how profitable the park is, but it sits on a lot of land, and I bet they can get a pretty good price if they sell it. Plus, with King's Dominion nearby, they could be seen as redundant. Not sure if this is actually going to happen, but it makes a lot of sense. The Lorax. Magic Mountain's Golden Bear Theater will become a major new coaster. We knew after the Golden Bear Theater was torn down, we would be getting something substantial here, and the park just fed that fire when they put up teaser signs. Epic thrills are cycling in, using some steampunk bird as another clue. It definitely seems like a coaster. Question is, what kind of coaster? I remember when the park was teasing West Coast Racers, there was a strong rumor it would be a family coaster. Even though it's small scale, it's definitely not a family coaster. Then they got Wonder Woman, another big thrill coaster. All that leads me to think it will be something family friendly. Also, it's right across from Bugs Bunny World, a perfect spot for something one step beyond the rides for kids. But then, I consider the teaser, Epic Thrills. I don't think they'd be using that kind of language if they were getting a family boomerang or something like that. A lot of people think we could be getting a motorbike coaster, and I think that's a great call. Something like Hooverland at Jersey Summerland, or Wavebreaker at SeaWorld San Antonio. It would fit the cycling theme. It is a thrill ride, but it's more geared towards families. It would launch but have no inversions. These are very popular, and you could get one from Intamin, Zamperla, or Vekoma. Now that Cedar Fair and Six Flags are one company, anything is possible. We have seen them work with all three companies in the last year alone, so I guess I'm selling a major thrill coaster and going with a minor thrill coaster. But I am fascinated to find out what this is going to be in the end. Calvin Hughes Thomas. An amusement park opens up around Nashville in the next 7 to 12 years. When you think about population explosions in America, you always hear about Tennessee being a hotspot. I'm sure the no income tax thing is a big reason for that. Nashville is their biggest city, already hosting an NFL team and a hockey team, and they're at the top of the list for MLB expansion. They're the 10th fastest growing city in the country, and they're grossly underserved by theme parks. There's really no reason for it. It's not like Phoenix or Vegas where it's 120 degrees in the summer. They're more than 3 hours from Dollywood. Kentucky Kingdom's about 2.5 hours away. I'm buying at some point someone trying to build a park in Nashville. We see those Mattel parks popping up in Arizona and Kansas City. Maybe they give Nashville a chance. There aren't that many parks getting built these days, but you do see them. You also have Lost Island and Tropic Falls in recent years, so I think Nashville is a pretty good bet. Meta the Conquistador. Disney or Universal will get an RMC coaster in the next decade. Disney and Universal have been on a big coaster kick over the last few years, and some of them have been awesome. Epic Universe is opening with some very interesting coasters, including the Mock Ride Stardust Racers. We also saw Mock work on Sleeky Dog Dash, but Disney usually goes with Vekoma and has been over the last few decades, and Universal likes working with Intamin. You got the two new coasters at Islands of Adventure, Fast and Furious at Hollywood, and it's been rumored that Rip Ride Rocket's replacement will be an Intamin launch coaster also. Even with all these new coasters popping up, Disney and Universal have their manufacturers of choice, and I'm selling them, giving RMC a chance. RMC is awesome for offering thrill coasters and not focusing on theming, but their new Fire in the Hole project does make that possible. Still, I would bet on Disney and Universal to stick to what they know, unless they get into a bind and have to reach out. Central Squad Fam. Because of the merger, we will see RMC conversions happen at Cedar Fair parks. The last RMC conversion in both the Six Flags and Cedar Fair chains came back in 2018. Cedar Fair doing it twice in 1 year and never again. Six Flags doing it for a bunch of coasters over the course of 8 years. Is it strange that they stopped? A little bit, yeah. But maybe after COVID they changed course. Or they gave all the conversions to the parks they wanted to help. And parks like Six Flags America, St. Louis, Laurent. Sorry, you're out of luck. No RMC for you. Cedar Fair, I guess, didn't have a great experience working with RMC, and they have a good share of RMC candidates. 2 at Canada's Wonderland, Hurler at Carowinds, Timberwolf at Worlds of Fun, and I'm buying the new chain asking RMC to convert at least one of them. RMC just converted Wildcat last year, so they still do conversion projects. And when you consider an RMC conversion already has the footers and supports in place, the price is right to give these parks an awesome new coaster, especially the bigger parks like Carowinds and Canada's Wonderland. This guy, you know who you are. Skyline will build a new coaster before SNS. Both companies are having a lot of issues right now, and there's been a lot of questions about their coaster divisions. Both companies do plenty of work outside of building their own coasters. SNS has their share of flat rides. Skyline works with GCI on their wooden coasters. Skyline's first 2 coasters didn't last more than a couple years, and their Kid Flash coasters have had their share of problems to say the least. SNS's problems are well documented also, the latest one being the year-long shutdown of Steel Curtain. And in a previous buy or sell, I had a question if they would ever make another coaster again. I said yes they would, but I am not confident saying the same thing about Skyline. I'm selling this. After Harley Quinn and Tile Twister and Kid Flash, I don't know who else would take a chance on Skyline. They're basically 0 for 4. Coaster Freak 59. Six Flags begins putting new experimental coasters into smaller parks. I'm buying this mainly because Six Flags has always done this. It seems like they're willing to take a risk on new models, and I would guess it's because they get a discount to take a risk. From the first B&M, the first Invert, Aero 4th Dimensions, RMC Hybrids, SNS Free Spins, Skyline Skywarps, some of these have worked out great, others not so much. Cedar Fair has been more conservative, but not always. You saw them go with the first hydraulic coaster, but in general, you see them jump on a model that's tried and true, and they try to set a record. People have called Fiesta Texas the testing ground for Six Flags, and Canada's Wonderland the testing ground for Cedar Fair. I don't think anything is going to change after the merger. RML 81. Circus Circus will get demolished in the next 5 years, and that means the end of the Adventure Dome. If you haven't been to Circus Circus, it's not the best place. It's old, it's on the very end of the strip. We have seen hotels from its era being torn down recently, and it would not surprise me at all to see Circus Circus go down. The Adventure Dome is connected to the hotel. That's how you access it, but I'm selling this. It doesn't need the hotel to survive. I think they can remove the hotel, give it a new entrance, and have it operate on its own. It's not in a great spot. If you've been there, there's a lot of crap between the main strip and the Circus Circus. But with the right marketing, if they can clean the area up, this is gonna be a big standalone attraction, so I'm selling this. The only amusement park in Vegas, something for the kids to do while the parents gamble. They could even expand the dome and add a new section once the hotel is gone. I think there is a demand for it, and if an investor makes it attractive, it can succeed on its own. Coaster Cow. If Top Thrill 2 doesn't open soon, Cedar Point will call Intamin to fix it. Is it possible Zamperla was in over their heads with this project? I'm not an expert, I'm not an engineer, I'm not in the business, so I'm not pretending I have any expert info to share. But the fact that this missed the whole summer, even after Tony Clark said it wouldn't be a summer-long thing, this isn't just routine growing pains. It's possible Zamperla isn't able to fix a problem and Intamin knows how to get it done. After all, they have experience with swing launches and coasters that go 120 miles an hour. It may be embarrassing to go back to Intamin, but in business, the bottom line always wins out. So if it has to be done, it'll get done. Despite that, I'm selling this. I think Zamperla can figure this out, and I imagine they're not charging Cedar Point during this whole process, but if they went to Intamin, it would cost them dearly. So, as long as Zamperla can get it done, Cedar Point will be patient and going to Intamin would be a last-ditch move. That's a wrap on episode 32. Let me know what you think of any of these topics, if you agree or disagree, and why. Also, don't forget, if you want your idea considered for the next video, leave it in the comments below, starting with buy or sell. Before you go, don't forget to drop a like, and if you're new here and love coasters, please give me a sub. I have a playlist with all the buy or sell episodes. Also, check out my second channel where I post copyright-free off-road footage, and my baseball channel if you also happen to love baseball. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.